All the gods began to adorn their vehicles and aerial cars of various kinds. Happy and auspicious omens were visible, and celestial damsels sang for joy.
Do we just do hi folks?
Summary. Hi. I
If
can't remember
you
what happened
tuned
last
in
time.
last time, we are now having Bhavani, Uma, all their names being married to Shiva. This is their wedding.
Oh, good. Oh, thanks. I read that.
Even though we killed Cupid,
I don't know.
even though
Read that
Shiva
so I can get found.
got rid of Cupid.
I'm glad you're listening. The attendants of Shambho began to adorn their lord. His matted locks were formed into a crown and decked with a crest of serpents. He had serpents for his earrings, and bracelets smeared his person with ashes and wrapped a lion's skin around his loins. That was a tricky one.
He had lion skin on his
Wrapped
loins.
his lion skin around his
lion.
loins. Gosh, this. Look at them, like they're right next to each other, and they're just, I digress. He bore the crescent on his charming brow, and the river Ganga on the crown of his head, and had 3 eyes and a serpent for the sacred thread. His throat was black with the poison swallowed by him at the beginning of creation, and had a wreath of human skulls around his neck. Thus clad in a ghastly attire, he was none the less an embodiment of blessings and merciful to the core. A trident of a damaru, a shell drum shaped like an hourglass, adorned his hands. Shiva rode on a bull while musical instruments played. Female divinities smiled to see him. The world has no bride worthy of the bridegroom, they said to one another. Vishnu, Brahma, and hosts of other gods joined the bridegroom's procession and rode on their respective vehicles. The gathering of the immortals was incomparable in every respect. The procession, however, was hardly worthy of the bridegroom. God Vishnu then called all the guardians of the different quarters and smilingly said, "Every one of you should march separately, each with his own retinue. The procession, brothers, is no way worthy of the bridegroom. You will make yourself a butt of ridicule in a strange city." Hearing the words of Vishnu, the gods smiled and parted, each with his own group. The great Lord Shiva laughed in his sleeves and noticed that Sri Hari's humor never failed. As soon as he heard these most pleasing remarks of his beloved friends, he sent Brungi to call all his attendants, and they all came when they heard Shiva's command and bowed their head at the lotus feet of their lord. Shiva laughed to see his host in their motley attire, riding every kind of vehicle. Some were headless, while others were hydra-headed monsters. Some were without hands and feet, while others had numerous hands. Some
Which one
had
would you rather be?
numerous eyes, while Others had no eyes at all. Some were stout and well built, while others had very slim bodies. What would I rather be? What?
Many heads, no head.
Um,
Would you rather have lots of arms or no arms?
I guess you'd have to go with lots of eyes. But yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one. Some had lean and thin bodies, while others were very stout. Some were tidy, while others had dirty habits. They had frightful ornaments, carried skulls in their hands, and were all smeared with fresh blood. They bore heads of donkeys, dogs, swine, and jackals, and the varieties of their clothes could not be counted. The troops of spirits, goblins, and fairies of various kinds beggared description. The ghosts danced and sang. They were all extremely fantastic. They looked most absurd and spoke words in a peculiar style. The procession was now quite worthy of the bridegroom. The processionists indulged in gaieties of various kinds as they went along. On the other side of Himachala, Himachala erected a most wonderful pavilion which beggared description. As many mountains as existed in the world, small or big, more than men can count, and the whole host of woods, seas, rivers, and ponds were all invited by Himachala. Footnote. According to the Hindu scriptures, every natural object is believed to be presided over by spirit. It is these spirits that are referred to here. Capable of taking any form they liked, they assumed handsome figures and repaired to the house of Himalaya along with their routines and fair consorts. They all sang festive songs out of affection. The Mountain King had already caused a number of houses to be tastefully decorated. All the guests were lodged therein, each occupying a house befitting one's status. The splendor of the city was so captivating that after a glance at it, the creative skill of Brahma himself looked very small. I just need to check that the microphone's working.
Oh,
So we're up to there, but we might have to start again. Hey, oh no, it's working. Yep, it automatically went to the right one. Yeah, oh good, you can hear us. Good. There's no way of knowing how long we've been going for, but I'm glad it has been working. Over to my co-host, Emma.
I don't. Where should I read from?
Wherever you like, but that's where I was up to.
Okay. So a glance at the beautiful city made the creative art of Brahma himself pale into insignificance. Groves and gardens, wells and ponds and rivers all looked charming beyond words. Every house was decorated with a number of triumphal arches, flags, and buntings. Men and women of the city, were so lovely and ingenious that they enraptured the hearts even of sages. The city in which the mother of the universe had bodied herself forth baffled all description. Prosperity and success, wealth and happiness were always on the increase there and presented a new aspect. Well, it sounds like a great place to live. When it was heard that the bridegroom's procession was close at hand, there was commotion in the city, which added to its charm. Adorning themselves and decorating their vehicles of various kinds, a party proceeded in advance to receive the procession with due honour. They were gladdened at the heart to see the gathering of the immortals, and they were all the more happy to behold Sri Hari, Vishnu. But when they started looking at Shiva's retinue, every animal they rode started back and fled in panic. The adults recovered themselves and remained where they were, while every child that came ran for its life. On their reaching home, when their parents questioned them, they spoke as follows, their limbs still shaking with fear. What shall we say? The sight was such as could not be described. We wondered whether it was a bridegroom's procession or the army of death. The bridegroom is a maniac riding on a bull. Serpents, skulls, and ashes are his ornaments. His body is smeared with ashes and adorned with serpents and skulls. He is naked, has matted hair on his head, and is dreadful to look at. He is accompanied by ghosts and evil spirits, goblins and fairies and demons with a frightful countenance. He who survives on seeing the bridegroom's procession is a man of great luck indeed, and he alone will witness the wedding of Uma. These were the words uttered by the children from house to house. Sounds like Shiva got really dressed up for his wedding. The parents smiled, for they knew that the children were talking of Shiva's retinue. They reassured the children in many ways and said, "Be not afraid, there is no cause for fear." The party which had gone ahead to receive the bridegroom's procession returned with the procession and assigned beautiful lodgings to all the guests. Meena, Parvati's mother, kindled auspicious lights for waving around the bridegroom, and the women accompanying her sang melodious songs of rejoicing. A salver of gold adorned Meena's fair hands, and she proceeded to welcome Lord Hara with great delight. The women were seized with excessive fear when they saw Rudra, Shiva, in frightful coronaments. They fled in great panic and entered the house, while the great Lord Shiva repaired to the lodgings of the bridegroom's party. Meena was sore distressed at heart and sent for Parvati. With great affection, she seated her in her lap, and tears rushed into her eyes, which resembled a pair of blue lotuses. To think that the Creator, who has made you so beautiful, should have been stupid enough to give you such a raving madman for a bridegroom. How strange that the Creator, who has made you so lovely, should give you a crazy fellow for a bridegroom. A fruit which should have adorned the wish-yielding tree is helplessly appearing on a thorny babula. Taking you in my arms, I would sooner fall from a mountain top, cast myself into the flames, or drown myself into the sea. Let my home be ruined, and let me earn a bad reputation throughout the world. But in no case would I marry you to this maniac, so long as there is life in me. All the ladies assembled there were distressed when they saw the consort of Himachala sad. Recalling the affection of her daughter, she wailed, wept, and exclaimed as below, "What harm have I done to Narada that he should have ruined my happy home and tendered such advice to Uma as made her undergo penance for securing a crazy husband? In good sooth, the sage is passionless and without affection. He has no wealth, no dwelling, and no wife, and is indifferent to all. That is why he destroys others' homes. He has neither shame nor fear. What does a barren woman know of the pains of childbirth?" Seeing her mother distressed, Bhavani addressed the following soft yet prudent words to her. "Whatever is ordained by Providence cannot be altered. Realizing this, be not worried, mother. If I am destined to have a crazy husband, why should anyone be blamed for it? Can you alter the degree of providence? Therefore, take no reproach on you unnecessarily. Sorry. I'm destined to have a crazy husband. What can one do?"
You resonate with that bit.
Take no reproach on you. Cease lamenting. This is no occasion for it. The amount of joy and sorrow that has fallen to my lot must reap wherever I go. Hearing the soft and polite words of Uma, all the ladies became sad. They blamed the Creator in many ways, and tears flowed from their eyes. Sorry, tears don't flow from your heart; they flow from your eyes.
Well, they come from your heart.
Damn you, Creator.
Right?
Yeah.
On hearing the news that very moment, Himachala came to his house along with Narada and the
Need
7
the-
seers. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, so what was going? Then Narada reassured them all, narrating to them the past history of Uma. He said, Meena, hear my true words. Your daughter is none else than Bhavani, the eternal consort of Shiva. Put the words right in my mouth.
He's gonna want to watch
Oh,
this.
it must have been while I was burping in your face.
I couldn't help myself. I had one ready, and you were just about to. And but like,
I
I'm
lost
sorry.
my
Please
spot
keep
now.
listening.
Eternal consort of Shiva.
Um,
Mother of the universe. She is the unborn and imperishable divine energy, which has no beginning. She is Shambho's inseparable half. She creates, maintains, and then dissolves the universe and assumes the semblance of a material form of her own will. First, she was born in the house of Daksha. Sati was her name, and charming was her form. Even in that incarnation, Sati was married with Shankara. The story is well known throughout the world. One day, while she was returning home with Shiva, she beheld Sri Rama, who is a son, as it were, to the lotus-like race of Raghu. Bewildered by his sight, she did not listen to Shiva's advice and was beguiled into assuming the disguise of Sita. Shankara repudiated her because she had offended him by assuming the disguise of Sita. Separated from her, she then visited the sacrifice undertaken by her father and burnt herself in the fire of yoga meditation there. Now reborn in your house, she has undergone terrible penance for the sake of her Lord. Knowing this, give up all doubt. Girija, your daughter, is ever beloved of Shankara. When they heard Narada's explanation, the sadness of all was dispersed. In a trice, the news spread from house to house throughout the city. Then Meena and her consort Himavan rejoiced and bowed at Parvati's feet again and again. All the citizens, including men, women, and children, young men as well as elderly people, were immensely delighted. Festive songs began to be sung in the city. Vases of gold of every pattern were displayed by all. Dishes of various kinds were prepared in accordance with the processes given in gastrological works. Is it ever possible to describe the varieties of dishes prepared in the house where lived Mother Bhavani? Himachala respectfully summoned all the members of the bridegroom's party, including Vishnu, Brahma, and other gods of all classes. The dinner guests sat in many rows, and expert cooks began to serve. Finding the gods dining, batches of women began to banter and rail at them in pleasant strains.
Why are they stretching further into her room?
It's all right, as long as you're not on bed. I do need it, mate. Charming women railed in sweet strains and poured innuendos. The gods felt much amused to hear them and dined for an unusually long time. The joy that swelled at the dinner cannot be described, even with millions of tongues. Having been served with water for rinsing their mouths at the end of the dinner, they were given betel leaves and then returned to their respective lodgings. I was going to play the stage for a minute.
The 7 sages called once more and read out to Himavan the note recording the time fixed for the wedding, and perceiving that the hour had arrived, the latter sent for the gods. The gods are coming, Layla. All the gods are going to come. Yeah, they're going to come. They're going to come to the wedding. Are you ready for the wedding? Are you? What do you think? Go to a wedding? With Shiva? And
She
Parvati?
can see me laughing and she just knows that you're being silly.
Do you like weddings? Do you? Let's read more about the wedding. Himavan politely sent for all the gods and assigned the appropriate seat to each of them. An altar was prepared in accordance with the Vedic ritual, and women chanted charming festival strains.
I want you to come too close.
A divinely beautiful home with the images of a pair of lions for its arms was placed on the altar. Being a handiwork of the Creator himself, it begged description. Bowing his head to the Brahmins. That's cool. Did you want to read? No.
That's not what it says.
That's what it says.
You gotta work.
Come out.
Gotta work on your pronunciation a bit there, Layla.
Bowing his head to the Brahmanas and calling to his mind his own master, the Lord of Ragu, Shiva, took his seat on the throne. The great sages then sent for Uma, who was brought in by her girl companions, richly adorned. All the gods were enraptured at her beauty. What poet in the world could describe such loveliness? Recognizing in her the mother of the universe and spouse of Shiva, the divinities mentally bowed to her. The perfection of beauty that Bhavani was could not be adequately praised even with millions of tongues. The superb beauty of the mother of the universe could not be described even with millions of tongues. Yep, repeat. When even the Vedas, Shisa, the serpent god, and Sharada.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I think
it's got the little
thing
on
top.
I
think you got it. Yeah.
Sharada, the goddess of learning, shrink abashed of what account is the dull-witted Tulsidasa.
Sharada is another name for Saraswati. Show me.
What's it? Shah.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh.
It's the goddess Saraswati. She's the goddess of wisdom. She's the goddess of learning.
You know that song?
Oh.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
Lakshmi.
Anastasia Mata. Saraswati Sharada Devi. Sharada. Is that what it is?
Yep.
Yeah. Sharada. Yeah, got a similar name.
Mother Bhavani, the mind of beauty, walked into the middle of the pavilion where Shiva was. Out of shyness. Am I putting you both to sleep, am I?
We'll finish up when you're done.
Out of shyness, she could not gaze on her Lord's lotus feet, although her heart was fixed thereon like a bee. At the discretion of the sages, Shambho and Bhavani paid divine honors to the Lord Ganapati. Let no one be puzzled to hear this, for one should bear in mind that the gods have existed from time without beginning. Lord Ganapati is reputed to have been an offspring of Shiva and Parvati. It may therefore be asked how he came to be worshipped by the divine pair even at the time of their wedding. The poet meets this question by stating that Ganesha and the other gods are eternal and unbegotten, and they only appear to be born. Okay, so they were always there. The great sages had the nuptial ceremony performed in all its details as laid down in the Vedas. Taking sacred kusha grass, they all got high. No, hang on, that didn't say that. Taking sacred kusha grass in his hand and holding the bride by her hand, the mountain king Himalaya made her over to Bhava, Shiva, knowing her to be his eternal consort. When the great Lord Shiva took the hand of the bride, all the great gods were glad at heart. The principal sages chanted the Vedic formulas, while the gods exclaimed, "Victory, victory, all victory to Shankara." Musical instruments of various kinds were sounded, and flowers of different varieties were rained down from the heavens. The wedding of Hara and Girija was thus concluded. A spirit of rejoicing pervaded the whole universe. Men servants and maid servants, horses and chariots, elephants and cows, raiment, jewels of various other articles, and even so cartloads of food grains and gold utensils were given as dowry, which was more than one could describe. Himachala gave presents of various kinds as dowry. Then joining his palms, he said, "I have nothing to give you, Shankara. You have all yours desires sated. Not sedated, not put to sleep. His desires were not put to sleep. They were extinguished. They were satiated." He could say no more and remained clasping the later's feet. The ocean of mercy that Shiva is reassured his father-in-law in every possible way. Then Menna, with her heart overflowing with love, clasped his lotus feet and said, Lord Uma is dear to me as life. Take her as a maid servant to your house and forgive her all her faults. Be pleased to grant this to boon to me, lotus feet. Shambho comforted his mother-in-law in ways more than one. And she just...
Yeah, well, come, just keep reading. Just keep reading.
And she returned home, bowing her head at his feet. The mother then sent for Uma and taking her into her lap, gave her the following excellent advice. Ever adore the feet of Shankara. This sums up the duty of a wife. Her husband is her deity. There is no other God for her. As she spoke these words, her eyes filled with tears, and she pressed the girl to her bosom. Why has God created women in this world? One who is dependent on others can never dream of happiness. The mother was overwhelmed with emotion, but knowing as she did that it was not an opportune moment for betraying one's weakness, she recovered herself. Menna met Parvati again and again and fell down clasping the girl's feet. Her supreme love was beyond all words. Bidding adieu to all the ladies, Bhavani ran and clung to her mother's breasts once more. Taking her leave of her mother once more, Bhavani departed. Everyone uttered appropriate blessings to her. She often turned back to have a look at her mother. Her girl companions then took her to Shiva. Having gratified all beggars, Shankara proceeded to his home, Mount Kalash. Kalas. There's no Kalasa, that's it. With Uma. All the divinities delightfully rained down flowers and kettle drums, produced a charming sound in the heavens. Shall we stop there? They're on their way to their new love nest.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well,
Wow.
KB continues.
The next section might be steamy. Hot and steamy.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
it's honeymoon night, so
yep. Well, yep.
tune in for
Did
the
you-
next one.
You know where we're up to. Yep. Cool.
We need them under my mark. Close your eyes, I'm under my mark. You're too poor for what might come next.
We'll finish it there. Catch you next time.